Hey everybody, it's Brooke. I'm so glad that you're here today. I'm working on part two of cutting out some die cuts for Allison's item of the month challenge. That's Allison at AJ's Inspired Life. And if you'd like to do some die cutting with me, stick around. Let's do it. Last time in part one, I went through all my dies. Well, all my dies actually. I was going to say not all of them, but yes, it was all of them. And we picked out a few to do. Okay, I picked out a few to do, and I thought we would get to cutting. Hopefully, you guys will learn something, be inspired, or at least get a giggle. Um, Allison's challenge. Allison is AJ's Inspired Life, and she'll be linked down below. And her hashtag is AJSIOTM. So if you decide to participate, please go ahead and use this hashtag so Allison can see what you've done and we can all appreciate each other's work. Her item of the month is simply choosing an item in your stash, well, in her stash, uh, to use. Something she doesn't use very often that she has that she'd like to remember to use every day in her journal. So she picks an item of the month, uses it every day for 30 days, which I think is a great idea. And this month's call was dies. So actually, I guess it was die cuts. So let's get to cutting. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and yeah, one more thing. I'm very sorry. I know it's ugly. I'm just going to say I had a run in at the fair that involved a goat and a door. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It's horrible underneath. You don't want to see it. It's way worse than it looks. I'm fine. The goat is fine. The door is fine. It's all fine. Okay, so the first big item of business here is these are my cutting plates. Do these look familiar to you? Do you have cutting plates that look like this? Yeah. I decided it was probably time to pull out a new set that I've actually had for a while. I tried when I was doing more die cutting. I tried to use these when I was die cutting on camera, but I think my other ones have worn out enough that I'm going to crack out these new ones. Look at that. You can see through them. They're flat. So cool. So we're going to use those today because I'm excited. And let's just get started. Enough talking. I think the first die I want to use is this Sizzix film strip. You can't see that, I'm sorry. Oh, whoa, a little brittle, a little old. It's 554627 is the number, if you guys can see that. I know the ring light's terrible. This is very old. It's one of the original dies. It's one of the big fat bigs that is a steel rule. So it's a big fat guy. So what we're going to do is on your machine, um, take out your platform entirely. Okay, and then put down one plate in your machine. Hopefully you can see over there. I'm trying to make it so I still have room to work. Okay, and we'll put our die in there. Just got it laying there. Let me move it over a little bit. And I thought it would be fun to cut this. I pulled out all kinds of papers, and I pulled out some acetate. I thought it would be fun to use some acetate that's patterned. This is We Are Memory Keepers, clearly bold, 6x6 acetate. I got this a really long time ago at Michael's, I think. It was on clearance, and I haven't used it a ton. It's really fun. I mean, it's got all these different patterns. Kind of summery, but you know what? I'm still not ready to get rid of summer. I'm not ready to let it go. That one wanted to come out, but I think I really want the green stripes. Yep, that's kind of a lime green. And so what I will do is just lay my acetate. Actually, how am I going to do this? I'm going to pull my frame over and lay my acetate on it. Get that all tucked in there so it's within the borders of the machine. My other plate is so clear I can't even find it. I'm used to just looking for all the scratches. If you try to turn your plates over when you're using them, uh, it may help with that curving thing. Not forever, but for a bit anyway. And resist the urge. I'm the worst. I want to go back the other way. Don't do it. If that die moves at all, you've ruined your cut. Okay, so let's take that out. Let's get that out of the way. Put our machine back over here and see what we got. Fun. Oh, it cut it pretty well. Look at that. That will be so fun. I'm going to put it on this paper and hold it up so you guys can see it better. I guess acetate was not the best first choice because it's glary and hard to see. But I wanted to see how it would look. The little boxes on the film strip are not all coming out. So let's grab our little foamy thing and our little rolly brush. This is the Sizzix kit that has the die brush, the foam, and the magnetic pokey tool. And I'm going to turn my acetate over because this is pretty stiff, these bristles, and I don't want to scratch the pattern on the acetate. Also doesn't seem like this works terribly well on acetate. Nope. So let's just try our pokey tool. Get those bits out. Well, you know what? I can do this later. You guys know how to get the bits out of dies and die cuts. Of course, it's a little addictive once you start poking at it. Anyway, I'll do it later, but here you get the idea, I think. I think right about there you can see it. That's super cute. Put a couple little photos in, staple that down or glue it in. That'll look great in the journal. So I've got a stack going. I'll put that in the stack over there. And clean as you go. Do I ever? Not really, but I'm going to try. And the negative pieces too. These are the pieces that cut out. Those are die cuts. They could be just used in layers. Allison's October item of the month will be clusters because it's the only one left before she starts the new round. So those will be handy for clusters. Now, what I'm going to do, just to make storage easier, I'm going to cut it right here and cut it right here. And I could certainly save this and use it for something else. I'm not going to. I am overrun with scraps. As I've been working on this project, it has come to my attention. I have way too many scraps. So I did save this one. That could be something else. And let's see what's next. So that was our film strip. Oh, I also have, this is the Tattered Florals. The glue is coming off. Again, it's pretty old. So I've got that one, and that is, again, a Biggs die. It's the thick one that has the steel cut in there. And just in case you're new to die cutting, this is a die. The thing that cuts is your die. The piece it cuts out, let's see. This is the die cut. So this is your die, this is your die cut. Very easy to mix them up. I mean, terminology-wise, and it certainly doesn't matter. I was just saying, in case you wanted to know. So we still don't need our platform. I've worked this off the screen so you can't see it. So, do we? Yeah, we do. There's our plate. And I think what I want to do, let me build this up here so you can see it better. These flowers get, the idea is to stack them all up so that you've got a big 4-layer flower, which I think is what I'm going to do. And I have, what do I have? You guys know I'm obsessed with Art by Marlene these days. So I have this beautiful paper with this gorgeous bright yellow on the other side. And I'm going to cut it. If I had room on my desk for my cutter, I'd probably use my cutter, but that's okay. So there's that. I like this piece. And how much do we need? About that much. So I'm just cutting a piece that will fit on the platform. I can tell you how wide it is. That would probably help, wouldn't it? The platform is about 6¼ give or take. So that's how wide your paper can be, is 6¼ We'll put that in there, and I'm just going to take this piece. Maybe I'm going to take this piece. Will it fit? That's more colors. And I'm going to put it right over that die. The die is facing upward. The paper's on it. Try to square that up a little bit. That piece of tape flapping around is making me crazy. Perhaps I should glue it down. Put that other plate on top. And we'll just run that through. And the little cuts go everywhere, which is fine. Oh, I love these flowers in this paper. I got my Art by Marlene paper from Danielle at Gypsy's Craft Nook. I will leave her link down below. I love Art by Marlene cardstock. I love all of her stuff, basically, but the bright colors are really working for me these days. So now, let's go ahead and put this one through as well. We've got it right here. I'm going to put that on my cutting plate. You could do it this way too. Actually, I don't like to do it this way. Get that lined up. And run that one through too. Get this up out of our way. Wow, my new clean plates are already getting all kinds of marked up. Oh well, I guess it's just part of the process, right? So now we have this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. You can do this with all different kinds of paper. I like to use text paper a lot, but I'm just going to use these ones that we cut. Switch them all out, use whatever kinds of paper you like. If you don't have this exact die, you may be able to find it. Did I show that? I think I did, because the tape was messed up. Tattered Flowers by Tim Holtz. You can use that die. There are lots of other multiple flower dies as well. So with these, I love that piece. You could do some inking if you wanted to. Does that stand out? I think I actually do want to ink that. So I have my little, excuse me, big yawn, good grief. My little ink tool. Just trying to get in there and define those edges a little bit. Totally not necessary. If you use more contrasting paper, you don't need to do this at all. You do what you like. And I'm just hitting those a little bit. Not a ton, just enough so it'll stand out a little bit. Okay, so that will go in there. And then we could put, oh, you know what? Even better. What if we put that one there? Should have looked at all the options, huh? So there's that one. Does this one go next? Maybe this one goes underneath. Wow, I might have wanted to sort of revisit this before I turned on the camera, but there you go. I don't think that's right. Nope, I think it must go this way. And then we could use the solid yellow. And then we have this guy And we have that guy. Get a little bit of the inky color up there. So let's use him. And you get them all lined up the way you like them. Sort of in the center as much as you can. I'm going to take our little piece of foam. And then you can take your pokey tool. This is the one that comes with the dye brush. When you've got them all centered, just use your pokey tool. You can use your regular pokey tool, whatever. Whatever's at hand. Went all the way through there. And I have some brads. I actually dyed these with alcohol ink. They were just regular sort of gunmetal colored. Actually, that's not going to help us at all, is it? So I have all 4 layers there. I just think playing with dyes is fun. You can use different dyes together, layer the cuts however you want. This is fun because you can still adjust it. And we got that pretty close to the middle, it looks like. So I love that. And then we still have these pieces to make a whole nother flower. And that flower would look completely different. So I'll set those aside in our done pile. And we've got this, which I really like. And if you wanted to get super fancy, you could do the embellishing, I think is really fun. You could do something like, sorry, I wasn't prepared. Can you imagine? This is Tim Holtz Rock Candy Crystal Clear Glitter. I got this from Michelle at Your Crafting Source. Now, it would be a whole lot easier if you did this before you layered the flowers up, like right after you cut it out. Hearing funny noises outside. Sorry, guys. It's distracting me a little. Use our art glitter glue. Put a little bead along the edge. You could use stickles. You could use mica flakes, whatever you like. But that's just a little bit. See if you can see that. There, I think, well, you can still see the white glue, but that'll dry clear. And the mica flakes are, or the rock candy rather, is so sparkly. When the glue dries, it'll look fabulous. So that's a fun thing to do to a die. Get that back in there before it's all over the desk. I'm sure it already is because, you know, glitter. Let's close up that art glitter glue so it doesn't get mad. Seems a little mad already. I'm just going to jab my glue pin in there a little bit, see if we can loosen up whatever's stopping up the glue. There we go. Hopefully that would help. So that's another kind of die that you could do. You could also certainly use these flowers separately. That would also work. Put that over there to try to not hit the glue. And what else do we have hanging around over here? Oh, our friend Claire had asked to see a doily with the dye brush. So that's what we'll do next. I apparently went on some bender buying doily dyes, all different brands. I think all of them pretty much came from Tuesday Morning. And I never use them. Look how pretty that is. See that pattern? It's really pretty. So let's go ahead and pick out a paper. What should we use? I have this Daphne's Diary magazine that has beautiful stuff in it. Look at this. Look at that page. That is just gorgeous. I think that was one we looked at while we were looking at the dyes. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. Get that out of the way. Just rip off a piece to use. I don't think the direction's going to matter because the doily is so fine. not like any big parts are going to show. So I'm going to go ahead. How wide are you? That doesn't look wide enough. Oh, it is. Okay, so I'll go ahead and tear up this strip. I love these colors. We still have all of this piece. Now we'll need to put our platform back in. So here is my multi-use, multi-purpose platform. So I'll slide that in. And then here's our plate. Here's our paper. And what you need to decide is where you want, like, do you want the cut to be at the top so you have a little excess down here? Because that way you could use that to glue it to another piece of paper. Or do you want to cut it right off the edge? You know, it's totally up to you, however you want to do it. I'm going to cut it right off the edge. Let me grab a little piece of washi tape, which I thought I had right here. Oh, I did. Can't see anything on my desk because it's such a mess. So what I'll do is grab this little piece of washi tape. I'm going to stick it on my sleeve just to get some of the stick off. And then I'm going to tape our die right there. Put that on there, put the other plate on top. And roll it through. Oh, you know what I did? You guys, I left it hanging off the edge of the platform. That will not cut. So let's back it out. Push our platform in. There we go. Got to make sure the entire plate is on top of this platform because it needs the pressure to cut, obviously. So there we go. Hopefully we didn't move the die. I'm confident because we had the plate in there. Pull that out. Get this out of the way. There we go. Let's see what we got going on here. A bunch of the pieces have already come out. Pull this off. Pull our washi tape off. Oh, I keep moving the camera, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the best angle. It kind of depends on what I'm doing. I'm going to shake these over the trash can because all those little pieces are on there. See if they'll come out. Sorry, loud noise. They don't want to come out at all. We will address that. And then you can use your pokey tool. Before we use our pokey tool, let's just get out a little trash bag. This is my trash bowl, rather. And use your dye brush and scrub in there, scrub in there, scrub in there. You can use it down on this as well. This way it's just a little easier because it goes right into the trash. So let me show you on here. Oh, the doily has popped loose. So you can see by scrubbing it, our dye is almost all the way clean. There are a few over here. And for anyone who has done a really intricate dye like this, you know that can just be a pain. So there we go. Dye is clean. That piece is flying. And then we've got our doily. I'm going to try it on here and see if it works. Because this is thin paper, I'm a little concerned about it tearing. But let's see. I probably should have done it on cardstock. Then our brush would really work. Oh, we got pieces flying. I guess it's working. Good thing Mark does the vacuuming, huh? I dumped a whole jar of beads on the floor. That was great. That was a big mess. All right, look at that. Probably not a great background. Let's see. Get some of these dots up before we go too much further. Missed the trash can. Perfect. Let's see. Can you see it on there better? I think you can. Isn't that gorgeous? So that could just go on the bottom. They have it on the bottom of a greeting card. Like the greeting card is up here. You could use it on the side of a journal page. You could use it in a card. Oh, I see some more little pieces. Um, there are just tons of ways you could use this, and it's just beautiful. So that is super fun. And there you go, my Claire. There are still a few dots, just a couple. That is how you use the die brush, which I just think is, I was gifted the set, so I'm very fortunate, but I don't think they're terribly spendy to begin with. They do have um, a bigger tool, like the brush itself is bigger, but this one seems to work just fine for me. And then you have that. I'll put that over in our to be used pile. And the cool thing about this, because Tim Holtz is a genius, let's get that off there. If you're using a die set that has a bunch of little pieces, it's got a magnet, and it's a pretty strong magnet. So you can run it over your desk or over the surface you've cut on, and this will pick up all those little tiny pieces for you. So that also is pretty handy. I think this little set is worth it. If I can find it, I will link it down below in the description. Okay, let's put this guy away so I don't lose it, because you know it's a possibility. It's always a possibility. Hi guys, I'm back. It's only been a minute for you, but it's been a whole day for me. My phone started ringing, and I never did figure out what that noise was, and I don't know. It just got away from me. But I'm back because I did want to try a few more, a few more die cuts. So this die is this big, beautiful 12-inch tree, and it requires your platform. Well, you've got an extended platform with your Big Shot, but you need plates, extended plates, which I do not have. So I thought we would see if we could figure out how to do a 12-inch die on just your regular cutting plates. So this one comes with two dies. I've actually pulled them out already. And one is that big swoopy branch that I really like. And then the other one is little leaves. Okay, so that's a separate one. We'll put that aside for the moment. And let's just see here. What I'm going to do is get my tree up as close to the edge of the platform as I can. Let me try to work over here. Is that a little less clear for you guys? Yeah, I think so. So we need some washi. I'm just going to pull a couple pieces off, stick them to my shirt, and I'm just sticking them over on my machine to have handy. I do recommend, even if the washi doesn't feel that sticky, you might want to tap it off just to get that first layer of stick, because it's very frustrating if it rips your die cut after you've figured it all out. Okay, so I want to leave that right there, and I am just going to washi tape it right here, not letting the washi tape get in any of the cutting channels, because that's going to be hard to pick out. This die has foam inlaid, like inset, where it cuts, and I'm not really sure I get why, but it does. So I don't want to get the washi tape on that. And then I have some basil cardstock in this kind of strange color brown, but it was the only brown I had. Go figure. And it has texture on one side and no texture on the other. So I'm going to put the texture side down, move this over, putting the texture side down, making sure it's covering the whole die. Grab another piece of tape. Actually, maybe two. Let's go crazy and use two. I really don't want this to shift. And then I'll put our other cutting plate on top. Line those up. And let's just put that right through the machine. I've got the machine a little off screen just so that I have room to move. But I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Okay. Oop. Not enough room to take it out. So let's put our platform back in there. There's one plate. And perfect. Look at that. Get that washi up. I guess it doesn't matter if it rips right there. So there's one piece. Here's the other piece of washi. I'm just setting it over there to be reused. We'll set this aside while we peel our branch up. Guess we could leave that tape on there to use for the stem. Let's go ahead and put that on like that. Just repositioning it so the whole stem is on the platform. I guess it's a trunk, not a stem. It's what trees like to call stems. Okay, get that out. Awesome. And I think what I will do is just cut some of this paper out of the way. Less to deal with. And, oh, now everything's tangled. Now I'll take this piece. Oh, there goes Marky out the garage door. I'm going to line it up with the die. Just putting that die cut right back in the channels where it cut already, or at least trying to. It may not be perfect, but that's okay. Then we'll tape our paper down again. We'll scratch our nose, always an important part. Washi's rolling up on me. I'm sorry that's so loud, you guys. The garage is right below me. And we'll put, oh, you know what? I did what I said I didn't want to. Okay. All right, and we'll put the sandwich together. And I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to turn it this way and run it through this way. Just to get our stem. No, it's not a stem. We've established it is not a stem. It's a trunk. That clacking noise when you're putting your die through is totally normal. Do not freak out. If you've never done this before, it might startle you, but it's perfectly natural. Look at this, you guys. It worked. We have a 12-inch swirly branch. Awesome. Now let's get some of those leaves done. I am so happy with that because I love this. And with fall coming up, well, you need some bare trees, right? I believe today is actually the first official day of fall. Wow, yeah, it is. September 22nd. I'm not ready, are you guys? Beside the point. All right, I've got stuff everywhere again. Now, I thought it would be kind of fun to take, I have a jelly print here that's buried. I pulled out all kinds of paper to use. I thought it might be fun to make these leaves out of this jelly print. I'm not that thrilled with it. We talked about that in the video where we went through our dies. Well, my dies anyway. And it's not my favorite print, but I think in some smaller individual pieces, it might be a whole lot of fun. We've got our dies. Well, it's one die. Trying to figure out what part I want. I think I want this part. And we'll go ahead and make our sandwich. I like these greens and oranges and yellows. So let's just see what happens. Putting that in the machine and rolling it through. Oh, they stuck to the plate. Oh, those are nice. Let's see if you can see those. Lots of different colors. There's some pink and some blue and some green, some yellow. Hopefully you guys can see those. I'll put them on another piece of paper and hold it up closer. There's one more that stuck to the die a little bit. Go ahead and pull that out. And the little foam makes the paper pop right out. That's kind of a nifty design. Let's go ahead and do a few more. Do we want a few more? Well, this is probably enough for right now. Let me put these on a piece of paper for you to see. And then they just get attached to our tree however we like. And I believe this will be going on today's journal page. I might ink the edges of these a little bit to make them stand out. Let me hold that up so you can see how cute those are. Hopefully the camera won't freak out from the white. Aren't those cute? And you can see just little bits of texture and paint in the background. And actually, you know what? Those colors match pretty well with our tree. And I did see some little pieces like this. That just means I didn't line the die up all the way. When I ran it through the second time, I can just, take a little snip here and there and clean that up. So that is super amazing. Love that die. I love using jelly prints and all different kinds of paper. Let's get all these tiny bits out of the way. And then I think the last thing that we'll do today is Tim Holtz wildflowers, because I love those dies too. I'm just going to clean up all around me and have a reset real quick because I just walked away from this mess yesterday and left it. So just going to clear the decks. I'll be right back. The flower die set that I picked out is Tim Holtz. I think they're called just wildflowers. Yep, wildflower stems #1. That's this guy. The number up here, I assume it's a product number, 664163. I think in total he had 3 sets or maybe 5 sets that were wildflower stems. I've got a couple, but I just picked this one out arbitrarily. And let's see what we got in here. Well, there they are. I mean, you can just cut them just the way they are, and they're gorgeous shapes, as you can see here. The models here have been inked, not terribly elaborately, but they have been. You could just cut them out of paper and kind of cluster them together. They're beautiful just by themselves. But, and I can't remember if I said this already. Last year, when I was playing with Corey Dahman's idea book, I did a whole series doing it my way. And one of the things we did was play with these wildflower stems. Corey's amazing when she's working with this kind of small detail. And I will, of course, link her down below as well. But I think I'll take a page from her book and let's cut this flower head and this stem. I like how many roundy sort of leaves are on here, but I really like that daisy kind of flower. So what are we going to do? What we're going to do is pick out the ones we want. It's this die and this die. And then we will, look, everything is sticking to my magnetic die brush. Go ahead and put those back in the envelope before Brooke loses them. I don't know that we'll need our die brush today, but hopefully you guys got some information about them from the earlier part of the video. What I would like to do is cut just the flower head out of tracing paper. So let's pull the machine back in a little bit. You can see a little bit, I guess. And put our die on there. And I have some tracing paper over to the side of me somewhere in our big pile of papers. This would also look very cool, cut out of a jelly print or some cardstock, whatever you want to do with it. However elaborate you would like to be. And it doesn't have to be this die set. It could be any die set that you have. Okay, so we'll cut that. And Corey talked about the difference between using vellum and acetate. I mean, vellum and tracing paper. And basically the gist of the story was that acetate, why do I keep saying acetate? Vellum is a little crunchier than tracing paper, and it's a little harder to work with. And I tend to agree with that. So we made our sandwich and put it through. And pull that off. Push this back through. Yeah, see that the handle is in my way. It's not really. It just feels like it is. So there's our die. And here's our flower that cut just beautifully. Well, you can hardly see that because it's vellum. But trust me, beautiful cut. And we've got a little bit of the stem, which is good because then we can line the actual stem up with that. So let's save our washi tape. Put it back on my machine. And I've got this little tiny scrap of green paper. I'll put that there. And I'm just going to line up our stem. And I could take my time and line it up, really carefully to maximize the usage of that little scrap. But, well, I'm not. It moved, but it looks like it's still going to cut just fine. Stick that in our machine. Get out of my way. And there's our little stem. Love it, love it. That's kind of a springy green rather than a fall green, but I'm okay with that. Let's put our dies back in their folder so they don't get lost. It's funny, I've been using the magnet on the bottom of the die brush a whole lot since I pulled this out to use it. Quite handy. And put that aside, and I think we need our glue book because this might get a little messy. So there's our stem, and there's our flower. Actually, our stem needs a little trim. See where the leaf got cut? I don't know. Can you see that? I think you can. I'm just going to cut that little piece off because it's silly. There we go. So there's our stem and our flower. And now let's doctor them up. Let's make them a little fancier. The first thing I'm going to do is glue them together, I think, would be smart. So I'll just put a little glue on that little bit of stem that we left on the flower head. And very carefully line up the stem we want to use. Get the glue off my fingers because, oh my goodness. There we go. That is small, you guys. Trying to wiggle it over a little bit. I think that'll be okay. So now they're attached. And it looks really pretty just like that. Let me put my glue pin back in our art glitter glue. That looks great, but I think I do want to make it a little fancier. So I'm going to use some distress ink, and this is Picked Raspberry Distress Ink. And I'm just gonna ink. I'm gonna hold it right on the place where we glued because it's very thin. And I'm just gonna ink the edges of the flower. Press a little harder in some places. Just generally messing with my distress ink. Put that up so you can see it. You could spray, you could use your glass mat and do some ink smooshing. Just put the pad down and spray water on it and dip the vellum in there. It's not vellum, it's tracing paper. You could do it that way. You could do anything that you normally like to do with your ink pads, you could do on this tracing paper. And now I've pulled out some Distress Wild Honey Embossing Glaze, something else that I don't use very often. So thanks, Allison. I'm really pulling out some different stuff. Put that down. And the first thing I would like to do is, I'm going to heat this for a second because the tracing paper keeps the ink wet a little bit longer. That ought to be good. Doesn't take much. I'll turn it over and just tap it to make sure, yeah, nothing else is coming off. So I'll lay it down, and I've got my embossing pen. Any pen really that's pretty juicy will work for this, but I have an embossing pen, so I'm going to use it. And I'm just going to make a little blurb in the middle of the tracing paper. It was a messy circle-ish, semicircle, I guess. Put some of our embossing glaze on there. This was a bad idea. Should have pulled this out for, you know what, I'll do that off camera. This could result in quite a mess. Tap that off. You can see where that glaze is sticking. And I think I will just move this aside because this could be a mess waiting to happen. I should have pulled this page out of the book before I put the glaze on there. And now we can just hold this. And I don't want to make my mat warp, so I'm going to go ahead and do it off there and let you see how it looks. It's very pretty. The tracing paper has curled a little bit. Isn't that pretty? That embossing glaze is so shiny. You could also go through and ink the leaves a little bit, or you could use your embossing pen again. Let's do that because it was fun. A paper to dump the embossing glaze onto. Let's do that again. I'm going to look in my drawer and see what I have. Oh, you know what? Let's try some Seth Apter Vintage Beeswax. I haven't used this in forever. Okay, this is super fun, you guys. Pull out your stuff and just mess with it. Even if you're not doing AJ's item of the month, even if you're watching this in December, you don't have to do this just for the challenge. Every time she pulls a new item, I'm excited because it makes me play with it. And I just think that's genius. You could do this in February and use them all in your journal then. It does not have to be for the specified month. So I went ahead and put that on there. Set that aside. And yeah, that works a lot better when you have a loose piece of paper. Stick this back in. And once again, I'm just going to heat this off to the side because you don't want to use a heat tool on your self-healing mat. And once again, it doesn't do a ton, but it adds a fun little lazy bit to your leaves, a little shiny. Makes them almost look like there's water on them, and just makes it stand out a little more. So you can have all kinds of fun with your supplies, your dies and die cuts in particular. Mix them up with different things and have a good time. make some embellishments for your journals. I have had so much fun. I've got more dies I want to play with. Got these little Thinlit frames. I want to do some of those. I've got these tabs. I want to do these tabs. So this has been great, Allison. Thank you very much for the inspiration in getting us to pull out some stuff we don't use all the time. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. Hopefully this video is not 700 hours long. But if you made it this far, leave me a flower emoji. Yeah, do that. That's always fun. And I will see you guys really soon. Thank you. Bye.